Hello everyone, I'm Steve. Mark's working late tonight, and this is Smokey Steve and Mark. Either welcome or welcome back, and happy Thursday. Almost the end of the week, we're all getting there. I hope everyone's doing well, stay safe, look after yourselves, look after people you care about, give a thought to people you don't know who might be having a hard time. That's my PSA for the day today. As you may have noticed, I'm blonde, and I thought today for a change, maybe I would put a beret in my dry blonde hair. So, Mark picked these out. I thought they were cute. And somehow it's stuck even though I have no hair. So, pink, cute, I'm a little old for it. I'm, 38, but why can't I be a little girl in my mind sometimes? So, we are going to revisit the topic of life after caretaking. For anyone who's new to the series that we're doing or new to the channel, hello. We've been following the channel Cynthia Beaumont, the individual Cynthia Beaumont channel of the same name. And I've been following this channel for years, but we've been doing reviews of it, weekly reviews, ever since Cynthia's late husband, Tommy Beaumont, got sick. He developed cancer relatively suddenly, had a harsh round of treatment, and unfortunately, due to a number of complications, did not survive. And Cynthia has been on her own, managing the channel, trying to put up content, trying to keep things moving. She alleges it's her only source of income, so the volume of videos is pretty high. I think there was 25 in the last week. She puts out about 4 a day per her schedule. And it's quite the melange of content that's there. So we've gone over some themes over the last weeks that have come up with Cynthia. And the persistent themes seem to be e-begging, entitlement, greed on some level for some folks, different sorts of things. Now, all of this comes in the context of her being about 4 months out from her spouse of 28 years passing away. And prior to that, Cynthia met her husband when she was very young, so she had, I believe, lived with her mother. So Cynthia's having to function as an adult, sort of for the first time on her own, at the age of 50. That's her lot to deal with. That's for her to have to figure out. But she's putting it on YouTube, so whatever makes it to the web is fair game, as far as I can see. Now, I'm not going to review 24 videos. What I am going to pay the most attention to is Life in a Day, the Cynthia documentary, which apparently was part of some other contest program of day in life, Life in a Day thing that people were putting out. And she filmed hers for that. I don't think it was an Oscar winner. There was a bit of acting in there, certainly, but I don't think it was going to go for the win. If it did, I'd be happy for her, because I would love for her to be attached to that video and have it be famous. But nevertheless. So, picking up where we left off, it's a lot of the same videos. I'll go through them quickly, all the way through, just thumbnails, what I had seen, my thoughts, and then we'll come back to Life in the Day. I've got her right up here because I am so obsessed. Let's talk over tea. Was it really hate mail? Now, spilling into last week, she had a letter that she knew was hate mail and then shredded it but didn't know it was hate mail, and how could she have known? And then she ripped into Deborah because it was from her. Drama. It's not news now, and shouldn't be news to anyone, probably, that a lot of her videos flop. And when too many of those in a row, there's going to be something about haters, something about hate crimes. By the way, the FBI get back on the fingerprints on that letter? Did they stop everything? Did the secret military police come in and guard Macy's and guard her building just to make sure nobody else left anything? So I don't think we're ever going to hear about that again, for a couple reasons. If it really happened, the police don't care. If she made it herself, the police were never called, probably, and it was just dramatics. That's a really shitty way to manipulate people into feeling sorry for you. It's been done by other people, and if that was something that I think had a lot more attention drawn to it, I think it would be very unfavorable for her. But she's a small YouTube channel, and nobody cares. So, let's see. Going forward. First time I ever got this in a box. Fan mail. Now, the point of this video was spite. And two morons don't make a smart person. Cynthia is opening this box from someone named Cheryl, who allegedly sent her all this stuff, which was exactly what she wanted. And Cynthia got excited over it like she was 13, per per usual. And the message in the box, allegedly, was, I'm doing this, I'm paraphrasing, because I know all the haters will like it. So not only is Cynthia trying to show one up to the haters, her subscribers, fans, if you must, are now sending her things to help her spite people. Okay. Okay. Rain, Thunder, and Lightning, ASMR. 314 views, and that's what you get for just pointing your camera out the window and calling it a video. There's good ASMR, bad ASMR. I've seen amateur ASMR, which is not too different from this, and it's not bad. But you gotta be in the mood for it, and it's not for everybody. Apparently it's not for her audience, you know. So, I'm not saying it was shitty, I'm just saying whoever's watching her other stuff ain't watching this. Cooking with HelloFresh. She always butchers the meals. I mean, everything looks really watery and gray, usually when she's done. Dirty laundry day and neighbor gossip. So she's on her Karen. Painting my beautiful, long, natural nails. And she's so humble, too! She's got nails. I remember in videos way back, years, she was concerned about her nails. She would get those things you dip those claws in, and then pull them out and take the polish off. She always liked her nails. So, okay, she's a little too proud of them, I think, but whatever. Real Housewives, blah, 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 who cares? A talk over strong coffee and some fudge rounds from Little Debbie's. These people are gunning to put her into diabetic coma. Just gunning for it. The food they send, which she expects at this point. Not only does she expect, I mean, monetization is one thing. We earn from ads. That's kind of part of the gig. That's not too much of a hustle unless you put 10 ads in a video. That's not particularly long, but I think she kind of expects this food as income, and she says as much later, you know. And then she started calling fans friends when it seemed like, yeah, you're just milking people dry. New Elf Retro Paradise Collection. First impressions. It looks like some makeup. Fan mail, very cool stuff. It's little girl shit. It's like stickers and stuff. I don't know. Then the Life in the Day will be back. Let's try everything in my Universal Yums box. Chatting over chocolate. Trying candy corn Hershey bars. Now, I can be wrong. Candy corn Hershey bars, which I remember trying, we didn't make a video out of it because not everything we eat has to be a video, came out at Halloween of last year. She doesn't go out much, so unless they sell them at Dollar Tree, or she got it on Instacart, that's been sitting around her house for 9 months. Or so, maybe, I'm guessing. It wasn't bad, I like candy corn. But nevertheless, you know, she does say it's hard to come up with video ideas, hence why I think she filmed her foot later in the week. Then Heather's Story of Faith, which was a beautiful, touching story that happened to somebody else. It was wonderful, it was very nice, it was thoughtful. And I'll give it to Cynthia, she kind of told the story in a way that was nice to understand, and I understood what she was talking about. Didn't happen to her. Good morning, what am I doing today? Trying some healthy cereal. Now, this is where the thankless bitch part comes in. Because every scrap of food in that house probably was mailed to her. And this is the, I'm grateful for this, but I'm more grateful for that. So she's going to try healthy cereal. I think it was Honey Bunches of Oats. On what planet is Honey Bunches of Oats healthy cereal? There was no marshmallows in it. It wasn't sweet enough. She probably had to add 8 equal. Somebody had sent that to her. I don't know who, but I remember somebody had sent that to her. And then it's like, well, it's not what I really want, but I guess it's better than nothing. Like, screw you. You are so rude. Big bowl mac and cheese mukbang. She's got the mask and the hat. She's got some style in masks. I'll give her that. Fan mail and candy from Japan. The repetitions get it. Catnapping ASMR. 442 views. You reap what you sow. Fan mail, yes, I blocked you, find out why. 2K. So, you know, she's not dumb. She's picking up that if she drums up a little drama, she'll make a video that gets maybe, I don't know, she has so many ads, 10 to 20 bucks? Maybe 25? I don't know. I don't throw as many ads into videos as she does, so I'm not sure what the monetization looks like. Ticket Tuesday time. That made me think of Tommy. That made me a little reminiscent of Tommy. I don't know them. I never knew them really well. We were YouTube friends for a hot minute. But to the extent that, you know, you follow a channel and you kind of get into the people and you're interested in their lives, watching the ticket times here and there, because that was like Tommy's thing. He had very few interests outside of work, eating, and tickets. At least that were shown on YouTube. So, exfoliating foot mask socks by Starskin. I have no words. I have no words for it. Um, there's a market for videos like this. I'm not it. You know, she's a large woman. She's going to have large feet. That's par for the course. Um, I don't know. One for me. We'll just say it, one for me. What a morning. Started at 8 a.m. Oh. And she's ready for bed. Fan mail. My fans are so good to me. Love you guys. Keep it coming, guys. National Lipstick Day. Now, this woman has probably had 3 dozen lipsticks somewhere underneath that. In layers, I would imagine. Because Alexa came into her apartment, I forget how long ago, and then disappeared. And she only re-emerged recently. The Ninja Foodie came in because I remember the demo videos, because probably wanted to get a sponsor. That was over a year ago. And now that's been resurrected. So somewhere, like, excavating like a dig, like trying to find dinosaur bones. We're going down through time, and now we've hit Alexa and the Ninja Foodie. The further back we go, we might hit a scale. Further down, you might find some old, like, Weight Watchers, snacks, something like that. So, working our way through the hovel. There's got to be 1,000 lipsticks in there. Plus, she got more nail polish. What happened to those really expensive, really nice nail polish? I've worn nail polish 3 times ever, and I thought I was cool. I wore black nail polish. I wasn't cool. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. It was all over my hands. She's got a lot of it, and she's got the good stuff. How long does nail polish last, and how long does it take to use it all up? Even if you put on a full coat every day of each color, I guess there's your toes. I don't know. Let's paint our long, natural nails. What bait? And then let's talk about today. So we're going to go back to the documentary part, because it hits on points from all of these. Everything from Oscar-winning performances to crap you don't need, to attention-seeking, to... She talks a bit about Tommy, and there's a completely new story in the middle of that about decisions about healthcare and who was making them and what the outcomes were. So this is where the notes come in. So life in a day. At 3 seconds in, she starts complaining. Because she's in bed at the beginning of it, and it's dark, and, you know, you can't see her. And she says she has to lay in bed and wiggle around for a bit before she can get up. I've known a person who's had to do that. Someone who had major back surgery. So I'm not calling bullshit on Cynthia when she said she has to get up and lay there. The woman I knew had to do stretches in bed for a couple hours before she could get up. She didn't sit in a chair and wait for the perks to kick in for 4 more hours, but she did do a similar thing when she got up. She said she slept in till after 8, which is terrible because she's behind. I guess she's late to get to the office or something. She considers making a lot of videos for YouTube to be her job. So she does get an income off of it. And it's, I think, good for her as a person with not much of a life to schedule herself a full day. If Cynthia didn't have videos and didn't have stuff to do, what would structure her day aside from waiting for packages and eating? Yeah, I don't know what else she would be doing. So, she's switching rooms all the time. I tried to keep up cut by cut by cut, but she's all over the damn place. She goes into the living room, no makeup. She's like, I have to start making videos. It's my job. I consider it my job. Then she's in the living room. I put on a mask and I walked outside for a package because I take it seriously. Cynthia's very big on mask shaming. People who don't wear them. Selfish, irresponsible, XYZ. I'm a mask wearer myself because I don't want to get sick. I don't know if I'm sick, and I'd feel bad if I got you sick. So if there's anything I can do, if it reduces the risk by 10% or 5%, anything. If someone told me there was a pill I could take that would prevent it by 10%, I would take it. So so I wear a mask. So we have some common ground there. The amount of hostility she seems to have towards people that don't, I can appreciate it. But I think saying it once is probably saying it enough. I wear masks. Cynthia wears masks. Cynthia's blood is red, my blood is red. Some similarities are there, but it pretty much ends after that. So, in her kitchen, she's going to make tuna. Okay. Now, she's got piles of shit on top of her oven. Piles of it. And she said, I know people are going to say, oh my god, you're such a hoarder. She said all that stuff goes in the oven. And she just put it on top because later she might be using the oven, which for the rest of this week I didn't see her use the oven. Unless she used it for HelloFresh. The Brita water filter, half full, was on top of the pile. So some stuff was getting moved somewhere. We put stuff in the oven too, because we have a small apartment too, and not a lot of storage. So we don't complain that we don't have a house and just fill our small apartment with shit. We keep less shit in the house. I'm using the word shit a lot. I don't know, a little hype today. So, at any rate, can of tuna, opening it. She's complaining incessantly, which is not news. She's making a 2-day supply, so she doesn't have to do it tomorrow. And, you know, you can thumb your nose at haters all you like. Any of us. This isn't directed at Cynthia. Any of us who, you know, if her home isn't clean, you can thumb your nose at haters. You still live in a filthy house. You know, I'm not saying her home's filthy, but I'm saying if it were, you know, let's say on the other side of the camera it was a little dirty. If she's satisfied living there, I guess that's fine. The only concern ever I hear people raise is that it's a fire hazard to other people that live in the building. And she does have a couple of pets in there. If it's safe for her and safe for them and the super hasn't thrown them out, I guess none of it makes sense to me. I wouldn't want to live in that kind of conditions, but it's not my life to live. It's not my life in a day. So, okay. Talking about tuna, she has a can of albacore and says she prefers another one better. They should all have pull tops, and the one she pulls out is very expensive. And she says, very expensive. Quickly corrects herself to say somebody else sent it to her. It's the tuna chunk in a can. It's like a whole little fillet. It looks good. I would actually probably eat that right out of the can. She lists off the ingredients, and then lists off who bought them for her. That, I can't believe it. Tuna, mayo, onions, the masher, which she lost already. I guess when you can lose like 6 sets of tablespoons, you could probably lose the masher. I was surprised the foodie showed up, the ninja foodie. But, so she lost the masher, and I'm surprised she has no bread, but someone sent bagels. I don't know, get on that, people, there's no bread. So she's framing this like it's going to be just a very typical day in America, a typical day in New Jersey. Even for people living in COVID, in this, and the times that we're living in the United States. Because arguably, you know, our leadership has called out other countries for not doing their part. And when you look at the numbers, we're just a cesspool. Having said that, her experience of life is very different from many other people's experiences. We all have our own paths that we follow, and some of us work, and some of us don't, and some of us are laid off, and some of us are older, and some of us have kids, and some don't. So there's no one way that life is going for anybody right now that is typical or normal. We're all off our square in one way or another. And I don't know that she would want this kind of video to go viral. Let's see. Cynthia's talking to her cats in her cat voice. It sounds nothing like Cynthia. Like when Chantal talks to her cats and she throws in some bass, you know it's Chantal talking to her cats. Cynthia's cat voice, it's not that I plan to have kids, but I think I'm sterile now. So, she said she never had the most exciting life, but it used to be exciting. Her and Tommy had a nice, quiet little life. I thought it was nice. They would go to New York on the weekends. He liked his scratch-off. She'd go to Macy's. They weren't adventurers. They'd go to Vegas once a year when they had the money for it, and when he wasn't sick. It was a quiet little life, but it was theirs. You know, they weren't bothering anybody. They were just doing their thing, you know. And then, as she's going through telling this story, now she sits in front of the camera and talks for about half an hour. And this is where Tommy comes up, and his treatment comes up, and his sickness come up. And there's some things in there that I don't remember being true, or remember actually happening. But we'll just go bit by bit. So, he's diagnosed with cancer. And she said they weren't left with many choices. And here's, the waterworks come on. No tears, but the wailing. The doctors insisted all 3 chemo, radiation, and cancer were necessary. This doesn't jive with what was before. And the doctors thought surgery would fix it. Now, Cynthia pushed for this surgery. She straight up did. It's on video. The last video, like maybe a week before the surgery happened. Camera's on Tommy, of course, and she's narrating because it's fixed, and they're talking about the surgery, and he says, yeah, we'll see. And she talks about it a little more, and he says, yeah, we'll see. And she's saying to the audience in front of him, I'm trying to tell him he needs it, and then encouraging them to also try to coerce him into having it. So Tommy didn't want it. Since when is Cynthia so docile that she'll take the doctor's recommendation? She yanked him out of the hospital half a dozen times. So you're not going to tell me she was persuaded by the doctor. She wanted it. She wanted it. And she misled him about the consequences of it because she had said they're going to go in, scoop it out. It's like getting your tonsils out. You'll be in overnight. You'll be home by New Year's. This is all on film. This is not something she can dispute, unless she took the videos down and everything's forever. Because unfortunately, Cynthia has cultivated a lot of people that don't like lying and don't like when you lie about treating people poorly. So they keep shit. And that stuff was there. So she's rewritten the narrative of her husband's illness and then passing. Which, whatever. But it's one thing to miss some details when you're telling a story. It's another to replace the ones that make you look bad. That's entirely different. So, I don't know. She blamed the doctors for it. She thinks they messed up in the surgery. He had to go back because he was being given food that he wasn't supposed to be eating when he was recovering. And the person who was responsible for his care had given it to him. And that person was Cynthia. She tried to play dumb by saying she called a nurse. And that the nurse said that they could do it, and she didn't know how much from the nurse, and nobody told me, and I didn't know, and he had to have a second surgery. And he was getting no aftercare. He was going home for it. His choice if he's lucid and competent, hers if he's not. So, if it's what he wanted, it was her place to step in and say he's not competent, this is what he needs. If it's what she wanted. So, she also said that he wasn't doing well nutritionally, he was bad off. Well, he had prescription nutritional feed from the hospital, which was sitting there growing dust, while Ensure was getting shoved through a feeding tube. So, she talked about the final trip to the hospital, and they discussed it. As far as I knew, he was ringing the bell all night, and she was asleep. And then she found him on the floor. This is also on video, so, and then it was a matter of her getting ready and then calling the paramedics, and they came, and she said as far as she's concerned, he died in that apartment. I think as far as the coroner is probably concerned, he died in that apartment. But nevertheless, he went to the hospital and he passed there, and I think she had said originally they held the phone up, but she makes it sound like they had an exchange of I love yous and stuff, and she was probably talking to him, even if he couldn't talk back, I would think. So, she said he didn't look that bad to me. And then she looks back and says, I can see it now. I'll give her a break for that. You don't see what you don't want to see. Now, having 15,000 other people say, Cynthia, he doesn't look good. And it doesn't help when you have fans who blow smoke up your ass and say he looks better when he clearly doesn't. That doesn't help people. It doesn't help the caretaker to say what you're doing is helping him. If he consistently looks worse, then it's not helping him. And that could just mean he needs another level of care, or another visit to the doctor, or something else might be going on. So, for 7 days she wasn't allowed to see him. He passed away of cancer. Apparently, according to her, he had blood cancer as well. There was an autopsy, which I find interesting, but there was only visitors at the end of life. She had signed a DNR, and then very shortly, she signed a DNR, got ready apparently to go to the hospital, ordered an Uber. He passed before she even got there. So she canceled the Uber and she didn't go. And then he sat in the morgue for a few days before the cremation got set up to go. So that was it. That's how she retold that. So when she was talking about a life in a day, it kind of made it seem like this didn't really have to do with life in a day. Like getting up, putting on your makeup, and filming videos, yes. But spending half an hour talking about how you're a widow, I don't know. Cigarette, okay? Sorry, second smoke. Second smoke. So, at the end of life, they were only allowing visitors, because COVID was just starting to ramp up at this point, and they were denying people to come in and things like that. And she goes into this saying, everyone's making a big deal about Corona. But there's families that suffer too. So I appreciate that Cynthia lost her partner of like almost 30 years. And it's hard to have perspective in the middle of that you have a personal loss while there's also 150,000 other people who've died, and they all have families. And there are other family members who are in Cynthia's position, I'm sure, who lost a loved one, not to COVID, but couldn't go to the hospital and visit, and there's grief there. And people have tried to use technology to fill the gap and do FaceTime and phone calls, and it's not the same. I don't envy their position. I'm not going to pretend to understand, because I don't. But, I don't. She said if she could have seen him, she might have let him go sooner, which makes me think he was hanging on for a while in the hospital, and if she had gone and knew how bad it was, she would have cut him loose sooner. Like, made the decision to remove means that were keeping him alive at that point. But she said, I couldn't see him and no one told me how bad he was. She said she couldn't see how bad he was, which means she didn't want to hear about it. So there was no point in telling her. But it had to be somebody else's fault. No one told me how bad he was, so I told him to stay alive. And she goes again about her self-righteous, if people would wear their masks, it would be a better place. People are selfish, people are this. And she said, what goes around comes around. Well, I've said this before. Cynthia is in a precarious position now where she has very little money and has to resort to YouTube to get free groceries. What goes around comes around is right. So, the day in the life for someone who doesn't want to get sick and is surrounded by selfish people who won't wear masks. That's how she's framed this now. And she doesn't understand why people are at each other's throats in the United States. It is a battleground in some areas, you know. People are going crazy. It's a test from God. And we were all doing good until Black Lives Matter and it destroyed our country. We've discussed Cynthia's views on race relations before and essentially said that for reasons unclear, whether it was passed through her family, fed to her through media, she just doesn't get it. She doesn't get it. It's like talking to a brick wall. She doesn't get it. So, unless it was convenient for her. If most of her fans and subscribers were supporters of Black Lives Matter, she would be too. Because, you know. But she says, yeah, that destroyed our country. That was the thing. She said, bad things happen all the time. I'm assuming she means George Floyd. But not everything is bad. So this woman who complains nonstop from beginning to end in that 1 hour video, I can't even tell you, there was probably 3 complaints a minute, suddenly tries to look on the bright side of things in this situation. Isn't that interesting? She says her video won't get picked, and then she starts talking about Tommy again. When she was talking about the video getting picked, she was crying. Thank you to the fans for the food for the cats. Around here, nobody cares. No one helped the widow. No one will even answer the phone. There's a lot of widows in this world. It happens. Unfortunately, they are not special. It's challenging. And she's still early out in the grieving process. But I've said before, this manifestation of grief, if that's what it is so out there. So bizarre. And the fact that it's being documented makes it fair game, but wow. I wonder if there will be a point where Cynthia looks back at her channel and goes, I can't believe I put that on YouTube. But, if it wasn't for YouTube, she wouldn't have any money, she wouldn't have any food. Hear that? She said no money, no food. The food is part of the income. She measures it as part of the income. How much money did I make this month and how much food did I get? You know, I think that's the way that she probably looks at it. And her channel, she's how he rolls. We receive gifts from people. I'm not saying that we are altruistic and turn everything back and give our monetization to charity. Well, I'm not that guy. People send gifts. They do. Subscribers sometimes want to show you something or want to extend a gift or send a piece of fan art or send you a gift card or food or something for your birthday. That happens. You can tell you're hungry for it when you put your damn PayPal in the description. But it does go on, but to have it go on constantly and to become dependent on it, and then to be righteous about it and say, well, if I don't get excited over something you sent that I don't like, that's not my fault. Like, who the hell raised you? Your mother didn't seem like that, and your father, I I don't know. You've said he wasn't around. Um, I don't know. So she says, this won't be picked. It's not as interesting as people who have cars, beaches, pools, and houses. A running theme in Cynthia's life is, you think you're better than me? She comes from a very defensive place where she thinks other people think they're better than her. If she didn't have that attitude, people wouldn't probably come off at her like that. It's not much like Chantal. The things she thinks people don't like about her are not the things people don't like about her. It's more about her attitude than anything else. It's not because she lives in a small apartment. It's not because she likes little girl stuff. All that stuff is, quirky, whatever, but it's not the reason. It's not. There was food donations left out for people in the building, so she got herself a big bag of rice. I have a good rice method, by the way. I'm sure everyone has better ones, but here's mine. If you want to make just enough for a couple people, 1 cup of rice, long grain, 1 3/4 cup water. Boil the water, throw the rice in, stir it once, put the lid on. Don't touch the lid. Turn it down to low, 18 minutes. When it goes off, pull it off the heat, let it sit there for maybe an hour, then fluff with a fork. One time I did it by accident, just right how I liked it, and it worked out well. That has nothing to do with her. If she's watching, maybe she can use my recipe because she says she has trouble with rice. And if she messes up mine, might be your burner. I don't know. So, in the last bit of it, she takes off her makeup and usually says her prayers with her beautiful crucifix, which she holds up to the camera. She puts on her evening face. And then she talks about how there's no point in baseball even happening right now. It must have to do with the betting, because the teams don't help anyone in their community, and only the players are getting rich. Damn, phone rang. Now I'm all in a different place than I was 2 seconds ago. So, at any rate, what is the takeaway for the rest of us here? Well, complaining fixes nothing. That's a takeaway. You're not going to get more than a couple thousand people to watch you complain. That's another one. The overarching theme, actually, I found, and it's not a huge one, but it's one that stuck out to me, was the idea of help and assistance. Giving it, getting it, asking for it, and expecting it. Her subscribers provide her with assistance, food, I imagine money, otherwise that PayPal link wouldn't be in the description. Other resources like that. I've seen gift cards come out of envelopes, all sorts of stuff. So they provide her with that. She doesn't ask for it, though, because that would be e-begging. So she drops, how would anyone know she was out of bread unless she said so? How would anyone know she was out of tuna, or cheese, or meat, or anything else? She mentions it, and then people send it. And then it's a bit of gaslighting. Like, I never asked you to send it, I just told you I like it, and I'm out of it, and I'm hungry, and I'll just have to sit here and eat cold mush. So, there's that part of it. As far as expecting help, Cynthia might not have a lot of financial means, and other people do, and she seems to think that they don't deserve it, even if they've worked for it, or put the time in, or put the hours in, that their money is gifted to them, and her money is owed to her, or Tommy's money is owed to her, I guess. So that part I really can't get my head around. I'll give you just an example, though. When Mark was I'll give you an example of how we handled something and how she might do it differently. Mark's having a hard time with his health. He was only down to working a few days a week because physically he couldn't handle the chef job. Things were tight. We had a couple family members who, when we were talking with them, offered to help us out financially, loan, gift, in that arena, and we asked. We didn't make a YouTube video to the attention of everyone we know and just say, we're broke, and expect everyone we know to watch it and call us and offer money. Now, mind you, some people did. We posted it, and there's some folks that we have, that are friends on YouTube, that are friends in life as well, and had done that. The outpouring was kind. It was great. But we didn't, the people that actually supported us. We asked for their help. They didn't just watch our video, watch us complain and complain and complain, and then call. And we didn't let a period of time go by and say, I hate all these people because no one called to see if we needed help when we were going through a hard time. You gotta be humble and ask a little bit. You know, you gotta say, hey, I'm having a hard time. Can you help me out? Do you mind if doing this for me? Can you help me with that? If you can't, you know, thank you for at least hearing me out. Because sometimes people can't help all the time. So, expecting help? No, none of us should expect anyone to support us. We should all be able to support ourselves as best we can. If that means she's a widow who can't work and she has to provide herself with some government resources and a little bit of a pension Tommy had and whatever and stitch a life together, that's it. If she wants bigger and better for herself, she's going to have to find a way to do that. You know, if she's satisfied with the life she has, then she can continue to make videos of her feet. So it goes. I don't know what the hell's going to come up next week, because it's getting weird. It's getting weird. So the further out she goes to try to branch out into a new audience, I think the more out there the videos are going to get. So I'm ecstatic to see where it goes. So thank you all for watching. Please do subscribe. Hit the like button and the bell on your way out so you get all the alerts, and you'll find out when we go live. You can follow us on Facebook at SmokeySteveAndMarc, on Instagram at SmokeySteveAndMarc, or our handle on Twitter is at SmokeySteveA. The script changed since we added Twitter, so I'm all thrown off. Our email address and our contact info is all listed down below. Thank you again, and we will catch up with y'all tomorrow. Have a good Thursday, and have a good night. Bye.